I feel like this title should have an asterisk on it, you know, that says, how to get a perfect on any test, except for pop quizzes and tests with subjective measures where your teacher hates you. Hey guys, I'm Yes or No, and if you have a test that you need to prepare for, yeah, I'm here to prepare you. How do you know that I'm legit? Well, yeah, I was a nerd once. I got a 4.0 in high school, ended up going to Harvard and getting out of Harvard. So turns out once a nerd, always a nerd. But the cool thing is that nerds end up ruling the world. Yeah, that's right, Beyonce was wrong. Girls don't rule the world, nerds do. And trust fund babies. But one of those two I can help you with, so let's get rocking and rolling. How to get a perfect on any test, starting now. Alright, this first tip is what I like to call, shut up, listen up. Essentially what it means is that as soon as the first day of class, stop talking to your friends and start listening to the teacher. I mean, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, you should be listening twice as often as you're yapping. But notice I still only say twice as often, right? You still want to be talking, but instead of gossiping with Susie, you know, sassy pants over here, you want to be talking to your teacher and engaging with the material. What this does is 2 things, alright? First, it's gonna help you learn the material better because you're actually learning the material better. And 2, it's gonna get the teacher on your side. This is great because when test time comes and the teacher is grading your written answers, they're gonna tend to be more lenient with you. Alright, now if you're looking at that tip and you're thinking, too late, yes or no, like my teacher already hates me. First of all, that sucks. Second of all, don't worry, I'm a millennial, I got you. You want the quick and easy, you want a magic formula for how to solve your problems. That's this next tip. It's called practice makes perfect. So essentially, if you want a perfect on a test, take practice tests. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know why this is a good idea. Essentially, you're forcing your brain to learn the material, and you're learning it in the structure that it's gonna be given to you on the real deal. Practice tests are the real heroes of student life. And they come disguised sometimes, just like Batman and Superwoman. So if your teacher doesn't actually give you practice tests per se, that's what quizzes are. You know, essentially just go through your old quizzes and try and retake them. And if you're like, my teacher doesn't give quizzes, first of all, who was your teacher? Why weren't they mine? But second of all, that's when you make your own quizzes. Now, you don't need to write out a whole test for yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is that you read over the material, then you close it, and you try and recall the material. I think this technique actually has a technical name known as active recall, but I like to think of it as playing peekaboo with your study materials. Alright, this next one's called the 80-20 principle. Essentially what it means is that by focusing on 20% of the work, you will get 80% of the results. And so that's how you want to approach your studying. First, by focusing on the main core concepts that you know will show up on 80% of the test. That is how you should begin every one of your study sessions. If you're not doing that, you're doing it wrong. Alright, now if push comes to shove and none of that works for you, cheat. Yeah, and I mean that in the nerdiest of ways. So this next tip is called cheat sheet, and it has nothing to do with actual cheating. Essentially, what I recommend is just to write all the things that are hardest for you to remember on a standard 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper. Now, I'm not saying simple things like you go and see, the state capital of Oklahoma is Oklahoma City. No! Don't put that on the sheet. That is easy to remember. Your brain can retain that. But, you know, the day of the test, when your brain's like spazzing out because, you know, you're a spaz and it's an extension of you, it's gonna be hard to remember anything but the basic facts. And so by having all of the hardest stuff compiled on this sheet of paper, your brain's gonna be able to re-grab from it hours before the test, and that's gonna be super helpful. So, when in doubt, cheat it out, but not literally, in the nerdiest way possible. Also, this brings us to our next tip. Memorization is everything. I know Albert Einstein said never memorize anything you can look up, but Einstein isn't taking this test, is he? No. No, he's not. You need to remember everything. Think about it. If you knew everything, you'd get a perfect on everything. I mean, guys, you gotta be willing to work. You gotta be willing to study until these facts are burned into your brain. I mean, if your eyes aren't involuntarily crying from studying so hard, you're not working hard enough. That's a joke, but you get my point. Alright guys, I got one more tip for you guys. Now, I won't go through the cliches like get a good rest, don't get stuck on one problem, ask clarification questions from your teacher, even though sneakily I just put all those things in there without going through them. But here's the last one I want you to remember. It goes by the name, double check yourself before you double wreck yourself. Essentially, always double check your work before you give it to a teacher. I mean, seriously, you guys. Who are the people who don't check their test before? That is the epitome of lazy, right? You've done all this work studying, and now you're gonna blow it because 5 more minutes was too much for you? I'm sorry, but if you do that, you don't deserve a perfect. Because sometimes even just that little bit of time between answering a question and going back to it can help you see the mistakes you made. So, double check yourself before you double wreck yourself. So on that note, I'm yes or no. You guys are procrastinating studying, and stop doing that.